Today, our focus draws attention to the topics of dominion and stewardship. In Genesis chapter 2, we find the final day of creation week and a more detailed account of the creation of man and woman from day 6. While at first glance they appear to be two independent subjects, I will show you how I see they tie together. In 3 short verses, the 7th day is summarized as the day God rested from his work of creation. In verse 2, it is stated, "And on the 7th day God finished his work that he had done, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work that he had done." In various circles of thought, there seems to be a misconception that because God finished his work and rested, he no longer created. It is assumed that the creation of the heavens and the earth was the beginning and end of his creative work. That rest on the 7th day was not acknowledging God's final act of creativity. It marked the completion of his work of creation in the context of chapter 1. God is still actively creating today. He is doing it in us and through us. John 15:5 states, "I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing." In Philippians 2:13 it is written, "For it is God who works in you, both to will and to work for his good pleasure." And what did David say in Psalm 51:10? "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me." God is creating and working through those that submit themselves to his divine sovereignty. The work of our hands, the fruit of our lives, and the condition of our hearts testifies that the creator of the universe did not stop creating after the 6 days of creation. In a way, his medium changed. Man became his new medium. Throughout the Bible, there are multiple references to our Abba Father being portrayed as the potter, and we his children being the clay. Potters are creators, working with pliable clay that can constantly be molded and transformed into something new. Whatever creative gifts we share with the world, or the spiritual growth and wisdom we attain, we need to recognize it is on account of what he is doing within each of us. It is not solely of our own doing. We were made in the image of the one true God whose depths cannot be described or imagined. A minute fraction of his complexity is mirrored through our existence. It ebbs and flows through us. We are co-creators, image bearers, reflecting God's creative nature. Unlike the rest of creation, we are an unfinished work. We are not incomplete. We are simply a fluid creative work by his design. In chapter 1, we saw God create the physical things of the heavens and the earth. He gave them purpose and established their roles, individually and collectively. He gave everything a specific set assignment. Man, however, was uniquely different. God resting on the 7th day signaled the completion of his work at the beginning of our story, not the end. Work needed to continue, to maintain function, order, and purpose, both in the world and within ourselves. The transition in chapter 2 of God resting on the 7th day and moving into the account of the creation of man and woman is reflecting a shift in assignment. Where God's physical creative work ended on the earth, man's began. A passing of the mantle, so to speak. Through his kingship and divine authority, God delegated to man dominion and stewardship over the earth, to rule and manage what he initially created. In verse 8, we see where Adam, the first man, was placed in the garden. he was given a territory and granted full jurisdiction to exercise his God-given role of dominion and stewardship. A territory where God had already made provision for his sustenance by planting the first plants and trees for his food. Adam's first responsibility to work the ground was assigned back in verse 5. Then in verse 15, he was instructed to dress it and keep it. This evokes an image in my mind of God and man co-creating in a manner akin to permaculture. Adam was positioned to work with what God had already provided in the garden. The quality and quantity of what Adam would harvest was in part dependent on the caliber of his stewardship. In verses 19 through 20, we see further evidence of Adam's dominion by naming the animals. Then in verse 23, he instituted the classification of woman. In ancient times, naming was not random or without purpose. It was held in high regard. It signified authority. Names were assigned to reflect the function, nature, or destiny of that which was being named. The same divine authority and expectation of stewardship that was given to Adam is still in place for each one of us today. Genesis 2 softly unveils the connection between God being the absolute creator and man participating in his ongoing work through delegation of authority and assignment of stewardship. In God's infinite wisdom, his design brings perfect balance. Dominion without stewardship can lead to exploitation. Stewardship without dominion facilitates passivity. Once again, God brings order and purpose, a pattern that never changes. So no, God did not stop creating after the foundation of the world. His creative expression has just transformed. When the imagery of the events of Genesis 2 play out in my mind, I can't help but think of Isaiah 43:19. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?